I grew up in the late 50s and early 60s in Wilmington, Delaware. The men did not do much in the kitchen. That was the domain of the women. And in my case, the women being, of course, my mother, your Bachi, and we had an aunt that lived with us, Aunt Sophie. You know, when we talk of family meals, family is a relative term. So even though there were my siblings, my mother and father, and Aunt Sophie, generally speaking, when the holidays came around, those meals turned into the extended family. As the families grew, and as the cousins got older and started families of their own, that kind of Thanksgiving tradition sort of went by the wayside because, again, people wanted to start their own traditions and, have their family meals together with their smaller family as opposed to the whole gang. Common spices, that's kind of a tough one for me because, again, didn't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, but our day in and day out meals were pretty simple. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fancy dishes or experimenting with different dishes. So, in answer to the question, beyond salt and pepper, I don't know what kind of spices there were. It's just the way it was, and I'm sure part of that was financial as well. Bocce was a big fan of the salt shake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Bocce predominantly did the cooking then, while my father was still alive. And her and Aunt Sophie would collaborate on meals, which was kind of surprising because they were both kind of what's the term? I mean, strong-willed, folks, you might say. Yeah, the choices were limited. Again, it was either you were either frying on the stove top or, like you just mentioned, baking in the oven for the ham, and I'm sure we had turkey along the way. But my recollection again is the vast majority of foods were probably fried. I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of emphasis on the meals, but um, it just was more of a necessity. You had to eat. Mealtime was just, in some cases, I hate to say necessary evil, but as long as you were getting food in your mouth, that's all that mattered. So I what I'm saying is there wasn't a lot of planning of meals. The concept of healthy eating is drastically different today than it was at any other period in my life. It helps being married to a registered dietitian who makes sure there's always a vegetable and a starch and a protein. And as a result, I think number one, we eat a lot, the vast majority of our meals at home. And when we do eat at home, again, those thoughts of eating healthy are kind of always there. We always term it in that manner. In other words, saying Polish food. Well, it was just food, and we were Polish. So that's what you ate. Back, at least when I was growing up, it was commonplace. I mean, eating pierogi and gołąbki and Chamnina, and all of those kinds of dishes. Now you have to wait and go to the Polish festival to